Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I am here with my 2011 ML-Class Mercedes W164 chassis, and we've got an issue with the rear passenger 12 volt outlet which we're going to fix today. So the first thing we need to check is the fuses. So let's have a quick look at the manual and see what the manual says about the fuse locations and which fuse may be the problem. So looking at our manual, we can see there's a number of different fuse locations. We've got a dashboard fuse box, a fuse box under the engine compartment, a fuse box in the rear luggage compartment, and there's also a few fuses near the main battery for the car under the right hand front seat. But when we're looking at the manual, it simply refers then to a fuse allocation chart. So they haven't put fuse allocations in this manual, they've put a chart in the rear section of the vehicle where the spare tyre is. So let's go and have a look there. So let's have a look in the rear of the car. Around the place, I can't see any diagram. Clever Mercedes, not putting it in the manual, but actually putting it on a separate chart, which could easily get lost. Let's have a look under the spare wheel. Okay, so I can see there's a piece of paper in here. Let's have a look what that is. Okay, so we've got the fuse allocation chart. Fortunately, it hasn't been lost from this vehicle. Let's have a look what it says. So once we've unfolded that fuse allocation chart, we can see it gives a quick overview of all of the locations of the different fuse boxes around the vehicle. And then it's got a pictorial representation of all of those fuse boxes. Now, on the other side, we can see that for each of those fuse box locations, it actually then describes what each of the fuses are. Now, what we can see here, we can see quite clearly power outlet, second seat line, fuse number 45. So we're looking for fuse number 45. So we'll come back over to the other side. Let's see where we can find fuse number 45. Okay, we've got 45 here, which appears like it's in the rear luggage compartment, in the trunk on the right side. All right, so just looking on the right hand side, we've got this section, which I believe is where we're going to find the fuse boxes. So we'll just use a coin to rotate those two clips. The left hand one goes clockwise, the right hand one goes anti-clockwise. We'll just take that panel out. And then we're looking for fuse 45. So we've got 45 here on the diagram. So it's going to be this 20 amp fuse, but before I take it out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to test it with the multimeter to see if we've got power on both sides of the fuse, just to confirm that that fuse is blown. All right, so I've got my multimeter. So before we remove it, let's do a quick test on this fuse. I've just got my multimeter here. I'm just going to use the earth from this rear outlet here, and this is the fuse here, which we think is the correct fuse. All right, so we can see there's clearly 12.4 volts on the lower side of that fuse, and there's nothing on the top. Whereas if we come across to this fuse here, we can see there's 12.4 volts on both sides of that fuse. So clearly this fuse here is faulty, so let's get that out. And if we have a look there, we can see that it's actually blown. So we've got a new fuse here, a new 20 amp fuse. So let's put that straight in. And once again, we'll check with our multimeter to check this fuse. So we've got 12 volts there, and we've got 12 volts there. So it's looking good so far. So just testing the outlet with the multimeter. I've got the probes in. It's pretty hard doing this one-handed, but you can see clearly we've got 12.44 volts now coming straight out of that outlet. So it looks like we've solved the problem and we're good to go. So now that we've got our 12 volt accessory socket working again, we can plug our USB adapter in. This one's a cabin crew. It's got two USB outlets on it, and it really is excellent. You can see straight away that the light has lit up. And then what this is really about is so that the kids can charge their devices. So we can plug our iPad in, and we can see clearly straight away it has started charging. Now before you run away folks, don't forget the most important part about this job, this allocation chart. Don't forget to put this back where you found it, under the spare wheel, because one day in the future, either yourself or someone else may have to find a faulty fuse with the car, and without this allocation chart, this would have been a nightmare today to go through all of the hundreds of fuses and 4 or 5 different fuse box locations to find the faulty fuse. So make sure you put it away. So there you go folks, that's how to quickly and simply fix the rear passenger 12 volt outlet if it's not working. If you've liked this video, do feel free to like, share and subscribe, and until next time, have a good evening.